everything you're going to get in college, basically everything, can be found online for free or virtually free.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we've gone to the task of finding a lot of those courses to add into the cycles. So it's like, that's another reason why you don't want to go into debt and waste 4 years or more of your life when you can just do it yourself.
Especially at such a young age, when very rarely do you know what you want to do, and that ends up being correct. I would say most people, especially nowadays, change 2 or 3 times. And so, yeah, why would you want to get $250,000 in debt because you went to some school to party and do some classes and then get out and find out that your job's replaced by AI?
The Harvard MBA they're good at school, and following rules. Yep. And someone like you who brings experience to me, that's way more valuable than a piece of paper from a corrupted institution. So that's another benefit of it as well.
100%, because it's all just theory. Everything you're in school for is just theory until you put it into practice. I mean, even EMT school is really just theory for you personally until you put it into practice. I mean, my first patient ever, it's like I forgot everything I learned. And now I had to start over from square one. So, yeah, it's all just theory. Why waste 4 years on theory?
Yeah.
When you're fighting wildland fire, you can't afford jitters, crashes, or brain fog. Fire from Miles Supplements is built to the demand wildland firefighters face. With natural caffeine, brain-boosting nootropics, and essential vitamins, minerals, and electrolytes, Fire gives you sustained energy and razor-sharp focus through brutal 16-hour shifts without any negative side effects. Whether you're hiking miles with a pack, having a line in the heat, or staying alert during night ops, Fire keeps you energized and mentally dialed in. Just mix 1 scoop in water about 30 minutes before your shift starts. If you're serious about performing at your best when lives and land are on the line, fuel up with Fire. Check out Miles Supplements at the link below and experience clean, powerful performance built for the fire line.
Well, guys, welcome to the next episode of the Spiked Out Podcast. A very, very exciting episode. We've been looking forward to this one since we found out it was on the books. Who do we got here today, Tyler?
Yeah, very excited to introduce Maxim Smith. Maxim is a very interesting young man, more interesting than most grown adults. And I think he's on pace to be the Dos Equis most interesting man in the world by the age of 40, perhaps, with the path he's on. And today, we're going to talk a little bit about the path he's on, the book he helped create called The Preparation, a radical alternative to college. I absolutely love what you, Max, your dad, and Doug Casey are doing. It's incredible. More young people, not even young people, even us, we're like, God, we should do some of the stuff in the preparation. Or dudes getting out of the military who are lost and don't know what to do. Like, fuck going to college and getting in debt and doing,
Exactly.
Yeah, this gives you a purpose, gives you a direction. It's so cool. Props to you, Max. Props to your dad and Doug.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, we're super excited for this episode. We're going to talk about a few things. Max, we'll have you start just a little bit about yourself before we get into the book, and that'll take us away.
First of all, where are you? That makes you interesting right away, where you spend a lot of your time.
Well, sure. Thanks for having me, guys. I really do appreciate it. I'm in Uruguay right now, and my family moved down here when I was 16, so that would have been October of 2021. So we've been here for a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
After just getting here, we decided to get a ranch and stay down here completely. So this is my home base now. But yeah, ever since 2023, just before my 18th birthday, I've been the beta tester for a program called the Preparation. And the Preparation is designed, as you said, Tyler, as an alternative to college. And really, it's also an alternative to the military or the trades, even as well. But it was created by Doug Casey, legendary speculator, investor, and original OG international man. I mean, this guy traveled to over 175 countries in his life, lived in 10, scuba diver, skydiver, competitive shooter, auto racer, you name it, he's done it.
Yeah.
Polo player. So him and my dad teamed up to write this book, mainly for me in the beginning because I was lost. I didn't know what to do. And especially after I went to a Wrangler course in Wyoming and really enjoyed it, really loved it. It was hosted by a guy that's really popular on YouTube, actually. And he's known for being a man's man, known for trying to make videos about what it is to be a man, to uplift young men and like push them in the right direction. And so when I went there, I thought, oh, you know what? I might want to do this. I might want to become a wrangler. So on my 12-hour drive home from Wyoming to Idaho, I was thinking, you know, I should contact this guy, and this is what I want to do, at least for a little bit, is be a wrangler. So I sent him an email and a text, and I heard nothing from him, which was really surprising. And at that point, I didn't know what to do. I was kind of a really dumb kid. It was like, if this doesn't work out, this one thing that I try, there's nothing else. There's nothing else.
I think that's how most 17-year-olds are. Don't feel bad. Even like we said, guys getting out of the military have that exact same. If this one thing doesn't work out, I'm completely fucked.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I had that idea and that problem, and after that didn't work out, my dad contacted Doug, and Doug had been trying to get him to write this book, The Preparation. He wanted to call it Renaissance Man, but he had been trying to get my dad to write this book for 12 years or so. And it wasn't until my dad saw that I was lost that he wanted to try and write it. So Doug sent back a list of games, activities, and occupations that he thought if a young man were competent in at least most of them, they would be miles ahead of everybody else. And that's kind of where it all started. And I've run with that in the beginning. I ran with it in the beginning, and it's developed into a full-fledged program, a full-fledged alternative to college. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years now.
So cool, man. We're going to hop into it. You've been doing some really cool things that most people can't even imagine themselves doing. But I think seeing you do it is going to give people the courage to go and try it. So, yeah. Should we dive into like a little bit of the nuts and bolts of the preparation?
Maybe a little bit about what it is to be a Renaissance man. What was it? Be, have, do, or do?
Be, do, and have.
Thank you.
The three most important verbs in any language, says Doug Casey.
Yeah.
Be, do, and have.
Yeah, so there's three main parts of the book, which are all-encompassing for the preparation program. And one of the main parts, the first main part, is really trying to dispel the myths of the world that we're told, especially for young people. Like one of the major myths is that there's only three paths, and that's college, military, or going into the trades. Like that's it. That's all you're given. And of course, you can get good things out of all of them. You can get good things out of the trades. You can get good things out of the military. You can get good things out of college for some people. I'd say a very rare set of people, very small set of people can get really good things out of college.
Yeah.
But that's all you're told. That you have three paths to choose from, and that's it. And that's just not true. Life is not a linear and formulaic process. And you guys know this, being in the military and then being entrepreneurs, working on fires. You know it's not a linear thing. I mean, you can do a million things in a lifetime.
Yeah.
So it's kind of dispelling myths in the beginning, and then it goes into be, do, have. The three most important verbs in any language in the world is be, do, and have. And our culture primarily focuses on the have. What kind of house can I have? What kind of job can I have?
How much
How much money
money?
can
Yeah,
I have in
exactly.
the future? What kind of, I don't know, can I get a hot girlfriend?
Yeah,
It's all have, and that's it. But that's only an outcome of doing. Doing is the vehicle. And without doing things, you're not going to have anything. So when you focus on have, you're going to be lost. And I think that's the case for young men today, even especially looking up to people like Andrew Tate, for example. I
yeah,
mean, it's like he's the guy who has the Bugatti. He's the guy who has all the girls. He's the guy who has all the money. Have.
yeah.
So it's a thing that traps people. Doing and being are the most important things, and being is at the top. What kind of man do you want to be? That's the question you want to ask yourself. And that's the only question that matters at the end of the day. But the doing is where you can get the have. And when you get more money from doing things, you can do more things, and in turn become a more interesting person as well.
Absolutely. Like you guys talked about it, it's a Renaissance man, a universal man. You can go have these skills, and while you're learning these skills, most people don't ever do them, right? Because they're self-conscious, or they don't have that confidence when they first start out, and they never try for the very first time, because once you complete that first task and you realize, okay, I've gained confidence through this journey, those other ones you start pursuing start happening a little more exponentially faster, because you're building this strong foundation. And you're right, people always go straight to, well, I want this, and my life's not complete until I have this, or I can't start, but they don't
Mhm.
do anything about it. So I really like the be do have mentality.
And it's not motivating either,
No.
because it's like a little kid. Once they have the popsicle they wanted 5 minutes ago, it's not interesting anymore. So now
Right.
they go on to, well, I want the next thing. I want the teddy bear. It's the
Hmm.
same thing with adults nowadays. It's, oh, I have the house. So now I really want to have maybe an even bigger house or a nicer car
Yeah.
or this. It's not motivating. And to young men, what is the most motivating thing? It's, what's the best man I can be? Who is he? And how can I become him?
And that
Because,
and that hero,
yeah,
sorry
go
to
ahead.
cut you off. I was going to say that hero's journey. That was one thing I
Right.
mentioned in one of the podcast episodes, was you have to have that hero's journey to build that character, to find out what your morals and values are. And most people don't want to do that, right? They're getting into that one profession that locks them down in one location. And next thing they know, it's 30 years gone by and they have nothing.
Would you say it's all about the journey, man?
Hey, nice little pun there. I love it. I love it. But it
Had
is,
to.
right? You
Had
have
to.
to have that hero's journey. You have to have you have to find the conflict in your life, or conflict will find you.
Yeah. All jokes
Exactly.
aside, that's where the name kind of came from.
It
We
is.
wanted to help people get on their journey, man. And we started in wildfire because that's what we know, but we
Mhm.
definitely want to branch out farther and help more people the way you are, Max. So it's very cool.
Yeah. And so you talked about being lost at 17. So what was that? What did that look like when your dad was like, he saw this in you and he's like, okay, I'm going to take some of these things that I know and that I've experienced or that I've learned from other people. And how did he approach you with it? And what was kind of like the first steps in starting the preparation for you?
Oh, well, it wasn't anything spectacular. It was really just taking the list that Doug gave us and running with it. And one of the things on the list of occupations
Mm-hmm.
was, at least that my dad added on there, was EMT. And that was the first thing I did. He said, why don't you find an EMT school around you? And I did. There was one 30 minutes away, and he was like, okay, great. How about you do that? And I said, okay. And that was it. That was how it
Mm-hmm.
all started, was just picking a few things to do, going to EMT school. I never worked a job in my life before that point. So I started working at Office Depot. I started trying to learn guitar, improve my Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
reading quite a bit more as well. Um, and all those things were on the separate lists.
Yeah.
Uh, just running with it. And that's how it all started. But along the way, um, it was not a well-structured program like it is now. So my dad had to coach me through things about, like for example, one of the toughest things in the beginning, I'd say for the first year, was the fact that uh, mm, to everyone around me, I kind of looked like a failure
Mm-hmm.
because I'm testing out all these different things, and you guys as entrepreneurs are going to empathize with this.
Yeah.
You you're testing out different things, doing different things with no guarantee of success. So even my family, like my mom and my dad's side of the family, would call my dad and ask him if I was doing all right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's going on? Maxim's doing all these different things, and we're concerned for him, which is crazy.
Yeah, you're not
It's
doing
crazy.
those three things that, been preached for the last 3-4 generations. Something must be wrong with you.
Exactly. So it was just minimal amounts of guidance from my dad when I needed it. Mainly like that psychological guidance of there's going to be lots of difficulty just from the fact that people don't know what you're doing and don't see that it can succeed. So you have to keep that in mind. But starting off, it was very, very quick and simple.
Mm-hmm.
Quick and simple, for sure.
Very cool. And so, yeah, you said the first thing you did, and the book, they're called cycles, but I'm sure at that time maybe there wasn't a definite name, but you picked one of these things and you went off and did it. A good one to learn for anyone out there, obviously, to be able to self-rescue, care for those that are around you. Being an EMT paramedic is a good skill to have, but it led into Wildland Fire for you. And so I guess, how did you hear about Wildland Fire? What was kind of that process? Maybe Tyler can speak a little bit to this too.
Yeah. Well, what's very cool about the preparation is when other people, like myself, for example, see young men like you doing shit and trying and like caring, they are way more apt to reach out and give you an opportunity. And that's what's happened. That's how we met, is because the podcast, Doug Casey's Take, I've listened to it for many years. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Look up to Doug a ton, and your dad, for sure. But I was listening to an episode, and because they had been talking about the preparation on the show on and off long before it was ever released, and probably long before they even started writing it. And that's when your dad had said, my son Maxim is going to an EMT class. And if you listen to the podcast, there's a private members group, sort of the file it's called, and I'm on that. So I shot a message to your dad and just said, hey, I own a Wildland EMS company. I see what Maxim's doing. I think it's cool. This would be a cool opportunity for him. And then your dad said he'll be reaching out, and then it went from there.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a crazy moment for me, especially because it was like I did this one thing with clear intention, and now somebody's reaching out and trying to help me. That's crazy. But I think I've learned over time that is the truth. Like when you have people like you two who are in a position where you've found a lot of success in life, and you have young men trying to prove themselves, you want to pull them up.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Which is something young men don't know. They just think they have to work their way up the ladder.
Yeah.
A corporate ladder, or ranks in the military,
Yeah.
or working up the ranks in the trades. When it's not like that, you can just go into something with full intention, and especially if you complete all 16 cycles of the program, you're going to have a great resume.
Yeah.
And once you do all that, you can show people, hey, I've got ambition. And we tell people as well to start their own Substack and report what they're doing each week so people can keep up with it, so that they get those opportunities of people reaching out to them and saying, hey, for example, there was another guy who lives in Colorado, lives in the mountains of Colorado, and he's an extraordinary person. He's in his 70s now, I think, but he became a certified scuba diver at 12 years old. A professional meat cutter at 16, worked in ski patrol was a professional packer, mule packer for a long time, great hunter. He started a tech business, a distribution business, and when his partner died, he kind of had a midlife crisis and decided to become um, a hunting guide in Africa. So this guy's lived a crazy life, but he had been following along with my Substack, and I don't know how he found it in the first place, but he'd been following along with it. And one day he reached out to me and he just said, if you want to, you can come out to my ranch in Colorado and I can show you how to pack mules and horses into the backcountry. And so when I went back to the States, I did that with him for a couple of days. And I had an opportunity to work on a geophysics crew in Nevada for a little bit. So like the more you do, the more people reach out to you, and especially when you put it out into the world and they want to help you. And that's a crazy thing. So but yeah, that was a great moment. And I think I tried to complete like the L180, S130, S190 as soon as I could, and um, ended up going to the rope rescue course, the REMS course you guys hosted in South Dakota as well,
Yeah.
and was really excited to get on fires there afterwards. And I pestered Tyler for weeks saying, "When am I going out? When am I going out? When am I going out?" So it was great.
I was very excited to get you out, man, to help with the preparation. And you're just a good dude who deserves it. And many more of these opportunities of people reaching out from nowhere are going to come your way, no doubt. So
Yeah. And you got to put yourself out there. Like you said, to be found, you have to be out there. And it helps you grow as a person and maybe refine your your act, how you are in front of other people. And those opportunities will find you. We've seen it. And obviously hearing it through you is super cool.
So have you guys found that through doing different things in your life that you guys have gotten unique or random opportunities out of the blue just from putting yourself out there?
Yeah, in a way, I talked about it on one of our earlier episodes. I think it comes out today. But when I got out of the military, I thought, again, still carrying over what we were taught from when we were younger. If you want a good paying job, if you want to amount to something or do cool things, you have to go to college. So I went to electrical engineering school for 3 years, 3.5 at School of Mines in Rapid. And that last half a semester, I just, again, lost feeling the pressure from my family. Like I now have to try and explain to them that, engineering is not what I want to do. And I'm going to get that whole pushback from them. And I think you had just posted something about being a medic, maybe it was out on fires, and I asked you about it, and that bled into going to EMT school, which bled into us working on the ambulance in Pine Ridge for IHS at the time, and then you started at Minuteman, and it wasn't but a year and a half later we were actually running the reservation down there. So just like that one opportunity of, I hadn't talked to him in forever. I knew we were both Marine buddies and went to high school together, but outside of that, so that led to where we are here, which is just crazy to me to think about.
yeah, you never know what, he's proved himself, fucking Minuteman would not really exist without him. The Journeyman wouldn't. So yeah, that's a great example, dude. And then for me, definitely, I'm trying to think of a concrete example. I know I've had people reach out directly to me asking if I would be interested in buying their business because, they see me running one. And so that's one of the examples off the top of my head. But yeah. Good question, though.
And how long have you guys been in fires as well? And when was Minuteman started exactly?
Yeah, I got out of the Marine Corps, went to paramedic school. First fire season was in 2017. Then I did 5 with another company, kind of realized I could do it myself, and then work some COVID contracts, save some money enough to start Minuteman in the 2021 fire season. And so this is the 5th fire season with Minuteman EMS. So,
and my first is when he started it. I had some contracts with another company, but Minuteman's first year was, 2 single resource paramedic kits and 1 EMT, and the 3 of us were out for some of the season, and that grew from there, which is crazy to think. At 10 ambulances now, 2 rope rescue teams, like, goes by quick when you just go and do it.
Time flies. Now
good time.
we got the Journeyman, and yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's pretty badass, honestly.
So a little bit with Wildland Fire, when you heard from Tyler, he outreached to you, were there questions maybe you had? Like if someone was in your shoes, like considering now, okay, I'm going to go potentially be an EMT because it's just a good skill to have, but now I have this avenue. What were maybe some of the things you were questioning in the beginning about Wildland Fire? And then we'll talk into how it kind of pays better than most EMT jobs, let's just be honest, and fuels into some of these other things you were able to do.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really sure how it all worked in the beginning because, the first things I did were complete those online courses and then went to an in-person S-130. But in the beginning, I still wasn't exactly sure what the layout was. I didn't know that there was a very clear separation between the medical personnel and basically everybody else. I just didn't know there was that big of a difference. But I also just didn't know what the average day looked like on fires because it's so different. At least when I explained it to my dad, he was like, "Oh, that seems like a much softer version of the military. Like you have to be at a certain place at a certain time, and work for a certain amount of time, and then you're still working really the entire time."
Yeah.
I didn't realize how any of it worked until I showed up to my first fire, which was the Falls fire in last year, and it was just crazy because first thing I see is Burns, Oregon, and smoke is everywhere, and some guys checking our rig, checking the ambulance to see if everything's correct, if we have all the equipment and everything. I didn't understand the entire process you have to go through when checking in and checking out. I didn't even know what the average day looked like. And it was very different going into the Falls fire because we were night shift.
Yeah, you got put on night crew your first fire.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
I enjoyed it though, even though it sucks in the beginning. I remember my paramedic and I were yelling at each other from the back of the ambulance, asking if we could take turns sleeping the first couple of nights because it was just rough.
Oh yeah.
But the one good thing about night shift is that people are more relaxed, and so that divide between medical personnel and everybody else isn't so strict, isn't so black and white, which again is something I didn't understand. Like I thought going into it that I would be actually fighting fire. For some reason, I just didn't understand that wasn't the case in the beginning. But going into it and seeing that, especially on night shift, things change a little bit, and you can actually get around to helping a little bit instead of having safety come around or division come around and saying no and freaking out at you. So yeah, it was just very unique experience in the beginning, but very enjoyable as well. And I think it's a great character building thing because especially going into it, I hadn't done anything like that in my life.
Right.
And I think Tyler, you may remember at the REMS course, I'm a natural introvert and a little awkward because of it. But I was much more awkward back then. When you're thrusted into working on fires, you are practically living with, at least if you're an EMT, living with your paramedic for who knows how long. Someone you don't know, someone you just met, and you have to get along with them, along with everybody else you're around. So it's a huge character building thing. Great for social skills, plus great for money as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you were explaining it to your dad, and he thought it was kind of like a soft military version. Did you have like a conversation with him after that first role, and what were his thoughts on fire? Like, oh shit, this is actually, kind of a cool gig, or like, what was that like?
Well, let's see. I think when I first got there and explained to him what was going on, that's when he said it was kind of like a soft version of the
Okay.
military. But after talking to him about it more, it was his thoughts on it were interesting, but not too notable. I mean, I was just telling him about the wildland culture, which is super interesting. It's like its own world within a world, which is nice because it's a glimpse into something new, and that's something he had never seen or understood. But also, I mean, the him realizing what someone can do, EMT or paramedic can do on a fire, um, like the type of work you're doing, treating patients
Yeah.
if you have patients, or if you get to fight a little fire, realizing that you can get paid $600+ a day for doing work like that was crazy to him. And he was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God, my take-home pay for 1 month in the military when he was in the military was $600."
Exactly.
Wow.
Of course, money's a lot different. The value of the dollar's degraded quite a lot since then,
That's
since the
next episode.
90s. But I mean, that comparison is amazing. That was probably the best thing I got from him.
Yeah, well, that's what's so cool about Wildland Fire, and especially if someone wanted to do the preparation, like I can't think of a
Mhm.
better career path to aid in the preparation because maybe you can't do the cycles back to back to back, but you go do a fire season, 4, 5, 6, 3 months, whatever, make a bunch of money, and then go do a cycle with money in your pocket. Um,
And I think it's not even just an EMT, right? It is one option, and it so happens to match one of the cycles, but there's a plethora of other things you can do in Wildland Fire. But you're right. The point being, it's a seasonal kind of job. They do pay well, again, depending on whether you're agency, cooperator, or contractor, right? There's some difference there. But you make a decent amount of money, and then you have the rest of the year to go do some of these other things, learn a skill, travel, and build that character. Like you were saying, when you're on fire and you're stuck with someone, where you're in a big camping trip with your boys for 2 weeks, uh, you have to be extroverted to a point, right? You have to get along, you have to
Yeah.
do these things, and then those carry on to when you go to a different country and you don't speak the language and you can't read the menu. You're going to have to be even more extroverted to go find someone who can help you and speak English. Like, and again, it's that building confidence, finding the one thing you're passionate about, and can you make a decent amount of money off of it to go fuel your other things.
yeah, not to mention the preparation is like basically doing interesting shit in different places, and that's kind of fire, and challenging. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'll be the first to admit that a lot of times EMS wildland can be not the most challenging if you're on an ambulance, but I think a lot of young folks should go get on a hand crew and really like work their ass off for a summer, and you're going to places you never would have ever gone ever. It's just in the US, but man, there's so many cool forests and corners of the US that you didn't know about. You're challenging
Absolutely.
yourself. You're sleeping in the dirt.
Mm-hmm. Not showering for 14 days.
Not showering sometimes, So all of those things make you interesting and more well-rounded and
less worried about the have things, right?
Just-
When you take
yeah.
away, when you're out on fires, you have a lot less things to worry about or get involved with. And it goes back to that you're just doing, right? You're being and you're doing, and you don't really care about the have. Now, the have comes later on when you get that check and your free time and you can go on that, trip wherever, but
yeah.
it's pretty cool.
And yeah, this is where Wildland ties in very well with the preparation, and I didn't even realize this would be the case until doing it last year.
Mhm.
Is that one of our cycles, one of the 16 cycles, is a work cycle, and each cycle is about 3 months long. And so the work cycle, which is the seventh one, is just just about working. It's just about making money. It's
Mhm.
saying, here's 3 months. Why don't you block this off in the year just to make as much money as you can within that time to fund your pursuits? So Wildland goes perfectly into that. If you can get your EMT cert and then work on wildfires, you're making money you're also doing the seventh cycle, the work cycle. And I know a lot of people use their fire money and go blow it on buying guns
Tattoos.
or
Dumb shit.
Oops.
sure, sure. Yeah. But instead of doing that, you can do that in the future. You'll always have time to do that in the future. But instead of doing that, you can go fund your pursuits and invest more and more time and money into yourself. Because frankly, especially if we're talking about alternatives to college, the military, or the trades, it's all those avenues are for the sake of having more and having more money specifically. But the value of the dollar is going down a lot. I think it's gone down 11% this year already.
Yeah.
So um, it won't be long before the dollar is probably worth nothing at all. So the best thing you can do is invest in yourself. If you're the man who can do everything, you're going to find no shortage of opportunities anywhere you go. So you can take the wildland fire money, and if you spend 90 days on fires, you're going to make a lot. I mean, I spent half of that on fires last year, and I was able to fund about 1.5 cycles. And those 2 cycles were the most expensive ones. One of them is sailing. I went and sailed in the Falkland Islands, around the Falkland Islands, and through the Strait of Magellan for a competent crew course. And then another very expensive cycle is the pilot cycle, and that's getting your private pilot certification or license.
Yeah.
Both very expensive things, but I could fund those largely with the money I made on fires. So it all ties in fantastic,
Yeah,
actually.
that's perhaps one of the most important things I wanted to hit on. I can see people who are bitter or haters, for a better word, like, oh yeah, Max, must be nice for your daddy to fund all this, but that's not the case. And in the episode with Doug, your dad talked about one of the coolest ones, in my opinion, is the going to Thailand for 3 months and training Muay Thai. And he said your EMT course cost more than that whole experience, So it's important to note that you're self-funding this and it can be done by others.
100%, whether you have nothing at all or you have an unlimited amount of resources at your disposal, you can go through this. I mean, like I said in the beginning, I started working at Office Depot, and I worked as a pizza delivery man, and I was able to save up $5,000 over the course of about 2 months. And that all went to funding EMT school. Now, my dad, I think ever since I was born, he was putting a little bit of money into an account for me.
As most parents do, you know, that's not unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course. But the total amount within that account was equivalent to 1 year tuition at a prestigious university. So nothing crazy, and that dwindles very fast. So I've used that to fund little bits of the pursuits, but yeah, as you said, it's largely personally funded. Anybody can do it.
Yeah, and we're gonna dive into those other 2 super awesome ones you just mentioned, but I do want to maybe brush over what are the cycles. I have the some of the info you sent over, and I just want for the listeners to understand, right? So there's your anchor course, that centerpiece. Was that the EMT course for you, right? The anchor course?
Yeah, exactly. The anchor course is the major activity. It's flying or sailing or EMT school or training Muay Thai. It's the main thing during that cycle.
Cool. Next, followed by academic courses, right? These can be online or self-guided studies to deepen knowledge. It's 2025. The internet is fucking huge. YouTube Premium University, a 7,000 lifetimes of books out there that I refuse to believe that anyone can't find interest in something, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, autobiographies, history, philosophy, whatever. So there's the academic courses, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the academic courses range from literature to some of the hard sciences. So everything you're going to get in college, basically everything, can be found online for free or virtually free.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we've gone to the task of finding a lot of those courses to add into the cycles. So it's like, that's another reason why you don't want to go into debt and waste 4 years or more of your life when you can just do it yourself.
Especially at such
And
a
that's
young
what-
age when,
Yeah.
God, very rarely do you know what you want to do and that ends up being correct. I would say most
Right.
people, especially nowadays, change 2 or 3 times. And so, yeah, why would you want to get $250,000 in debt because you went to some school to party and do some classes and then get out and find out that your job's replaced by AI?
Yeah. And the only type of debt really that you can't default on to,
Yeah.
which is fun about college
Yeah.
as well. So,
Yeah, exactly.
So next we have reading assignments, pretty self-explanatory. More people should read. There's a lot of benefits to reading besides just stories and entertainment. I can't remember who said it, but they were talking about, it's a pretty awesome moment when you have this thought, idea, or feeling in your head and you read a book by someone you've never met that, maybe thousands of years old, and they have such a similar experience. If you can find those moments in books, is pretty unique.
yeah. And even your dad and Doug were talking about it too on the podcast about fiction. It helps develop your character by even reading about fictional characters.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like I have the full Sackett series from Louis L'Amour up on my shelf over there. And that's some of the best fiction you can get in terms of stories about young men who are virtuous and who are men of character with lots of different skills. And that's where you can get a lot of the ideas of the type of man you want to emulate.
Absolutely. And then you have to go out and actually do those things and practice what you read. And it's going to be uncomfortable at first, but you're allowed to pick the person that you want to be, and that person will bleed into, what you get. Skill building, enjoyable activities, do fun shit. We like fun shit. I'm a big music fan. Played piano since I was in like 2nd grade. Last year, bought a drum set and have had the most fucking fun.
Yeah.
Banging on that thing.
And you can play the guitar like a motherfucker, which you don't talk about much, but
Thanks,
it's
cool. Music in general gets me, but that's just, how much fun shit's out there to do. A lot.
What fun shit are you doing, Max?
Yeah.
Well, I think I've done less than I should from our cycles, but I mean, part of that for me, what's in the fun shit section that I've done is skydiving and scuba diving.
And you're certified, right, on scuba diving?
Yeah, I got my open water certification at the end of last year. So I need to start doing more fun shit, but we have got a complete list of good stuff in there, which includes learning how to play guitar, speaking a second language or third language, scuba diving, skydiving, motocross, auto racing, skeet shooting, you name it. It's in there.
Yeah.
That's all the fun shit.
And from a traveler's perspective, for those that don't know, I think scuba diving is definitely, getting certified in scuba diving is probably one of the best fun shit you can do, because then when you're going to these different places, you're able to rent that gear and go out and dive, which insane.
Hell yeah.
And it's perfect for the Muay Thai course in Thailand because they have some of the best scuba diving there.
I didn't know
So
that.
if you get scuba skirt, not only are you going to become a pretty good fighter within 3 months, but you can scuba dive there as well.
Hell yeah.
And live cheap. Like, I've been to Thailand twice, highly recommend it. It's so cool, and you can go eat a full awesome meal for like less than $5. So love that.
It's crazy.
Hell yeah. Next on the what are cycles, we have reflection and accountability. Maybe one that all of us should do more. But what does that and kind of entail, or what does that look like with the reflection and accountability?
Well, that's something that has come about accidentally, just because when I was 18 weeks into the program, now I'm over 110, I think. My dad said, you know what, you should just start posting on Substack, which is a publication website where you can send out posts to public audiences. Just so you can hold yourself accountable, because as more people follow along with what you're doing over time, you're going to feel an obligation to keep doing good work. But at the same time, it also allows you to reflect. Are there ways which I can do better? How can I do better? Am I going in the right direction? That's all easier done if you're writing to other people, like a weekly letter to other people saying, "Here's what I've done, here's what I've learned, and here's where I'm going." So we ask people to dedicate 5 hours a week to doing that. And all these things combined, reflection and accountability, the anchor course, um, could include working as well at the same time, activities and doing fun shit. All of that should equal about 40 hours of time, of dedicated time per week going into this, which would be 480 total hours in each cycle. So if you're constantly trying to improve yourself, working on it every day, for 8 hours, or even just 5 days a week for 8 hours,
Yeah.
going all out. And you do that throughout the course of the year, you're gonna have 1,920 hours of productivity,
Yeah.
whereas someone in college only has about 840. So on that metric alone, you are way ahead of everybody else. But you're also more interesting because you've branched out into all these skills. So yeah, all those things come together to create one cycle.
Yeah, and writing, very important. I've been on a lot of trips where I feel like, man, I don't really remember shit from that. Like if other than like you got pictures, but I always wished I had journaled more on when I had gone to other countries. Like you're building like a diary essentially that's going to exist long after you're gone, and then you're going to be very happy with yourself that you could look back and like really remember it because you wrote about it.
That's true. That is a good unintended benefit of it,
Yeah.
because I've noticed, I mean, just the other day I was like, man, it's already been 2 years in the program. That's crazy that that much time has passed. So it's good to go back and look at what has happened. I agree for sure.
So, yeah, you were talking about accumulating these hours, right, with these different skills and comparing it to college. I think there's 2 points with that. One is I think a lot of excuses come up when people start mentioning how much time you have to put into something. So I challenge those that are listening to go into their phone and see their current screen usage time.
I don't want to see that.
If it's above 2 hours, I guarantee you can shave it in half and just as a start, dedicate that hour every day to that one thing and build to that 40 in a week, right? The other thing is those that are in college, right? They're learning from a textbook, from their assignments and their tests, and from their professors, good or bad, that may or may have not done the things that they're teaching. Whereas when you're actually learning these skills and going through these cycles, you're getting tangible feedback and you're seeing yourself grow. And that's real confidence, I think, versus some people getting out of college and they have this piece of paper and they think that it's going to solve everything. And then they get to whatever job and realize, oh shit, I'm going to have to be in this for 25, 30 years before I'm that person I thought I was going to be, So,
and how often in college are you just hungover as hell and, in one ear, out the other? You can't really, maybe nowadays you can, but like re-listen to the lecture, or you can't be in the room again.
No,
it's the preparation. You got to be present the whole time.
Absolutely.
100%. And like you were saying, Brennan, you don't even know if the person who's teaching you is worth listening to.
Yeah.
Like, is it worth listening to the business professor? Probably not. I doubt he's ever started a business.
All right.
But going to the time thing, I think once you start the preparation, you're going to want to put as much time into it as you can.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to feel like, you know what, I want to slack off today. No, you want to go all in, especially because we set them up with thinking about the man they could be. If that is part of your frame of thought, like reaching towards your highest potential, what's the best man you can be, and how can you get to becoming that man? If you have that in your mind, anytime you're slacking off or not doing as much as you should, you're going to go, oh, hold on, I can put more time into this and keep going.
Yeah.
But that's during the times where it's more of a grind. if you're doing things like flying planes or sailing or going to EMT school or learning how to operate heavy equipment, you're not going to be bored. You're going to want to do it.
Yeah.
So instead of sitting in a classroom, you're going to be getting after it and doing things that also everybody else finds impressive. So that's going to be motivating.
It's amazing what the difference. Like in high school, I was fucking C student barely, and I didn't care, never wanted to be there, hated it. But then when I got into paramedic school, I loved it, and I wanted to be there every day. And then even like some days the teacher would be like, "You guys want to be done early today?" And it's like, "No, dude, we're here, let's do it." It's amazing what learning, when you want to learn what you're learning about, just how different that is.
Definitely. That was my experience with EMT school as well. I was like, I always did bad in school, always. I mean, in second grade, I refused to do math. I refused. Whenever I showed up in class, I didn't do it. And then I was in school up until freshman year of high school. And rarely ever got higher than a B plus. I was always pretty bad at school. But as soon as I went to EMT school, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed going there. It was really fun.
Yeah.
So as soon as you're doing things in a self-directed fashion, learning things on your own accord, it's entertaining. It's fun. You want to get after it. You don't want to waste hours. You don't want to waste your time.
Yeah.
I think that makes young men, I had this at least, feel like you're dumb. Like, because you're the letter on your report card isn't an A or a B, sometimes not even a C. So I had this too, like, fuck, I'm a dumbass. Like, all I'll ever be is a Marine, like a dumb Marine. Like, but it's not like that. And I always hate when you hear it a lot, like guys joking, like, like shitting on their intelligence. But I think if they got out there in something they wanted to be in, they'd be pleasantly surprised at what they're capable of.
And I think you owe it to yourself to find out. I don't think you should go a whole lifetime and never have that challenge or see what you're capable of or grow into that person, that man you're trying to be.
Einstein has that quote about, like, if you grade a fish on its ability to climb a tree, like, it's
exactly.
Yeah. So,
and like you were saying, it when you get those lower grades, you're told, well, you're not going to get into a good school, which means you're going to have to go to that trade school or join the military, and your life's never going to be X, Y, Z. And I think that's true for a lot of males growing up in the last 2 generations, probably 3.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you, Max. You're the guest.
I was just gonna say, I mean, that's 100% true. You're put into a place you don't want to be, forced into the school, when you don't want to be there at all, learning things you don't really want to learn, probably more than half of which you don't actually absorb.
Mm-hmm.
And because you're not doing well, they say, your future's not looking bright.
Yeah.
And everybody else around you says the same thing. And so now you're scrambling and you're like, oh, now you really kind of screw yourself by throwing yourself into one of the 3 options you're given. And that's it. So I 100% agree.
Hell yeah. Cool. Well, I want to dive into some of these other cooler ones. You mentioned pilot school, flight school, and sailing. Flip a coin. Let's dive into one. I'm super, super interested in how those started out, and what you've gotten to do.
Well, I started out flight school in May of this year. I started it in Colorado. I didn't take into account the fact that mountain weather isn't the best to fly in during that time of year. So it was difficult to get flight hours in the beginning. So I was just studying every day, all day. But flying is very fun, very entertaining, and there's no immediate financial benefit from doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not only because you're pouring thousands of dollars into learning how to fly, but once you get your PPL, you're not really you can't really make any money off of that, actually. So the idea with that being a cycle in itself is just learning a valuable skill but also you're creating a foundation that you can build off of. So in the future, you can, um, you can get your IFR certification, your instrument certification, or you could go all the way to commercial.
Yeah.
But it's about setting that foundation. So I started in Colorado, and then when I came back to Uruguay, I continued it down here. Because I found out that as long as you find a certified flight instructor, all of your hours gained internationally can be transported back to the FAA system.
Wow.
Very cool.
So I've been flying here as well at an international airport. But it's been lots of fun. But by far the most fun cycle I've done, uh, by far, was the sailing cycle, and that was in the Falkland Islands. Um, Nothing compares to being in that part of the world and sailing. I mean, at that part of the world, you are in 50 degrees of latitude, and that is known as the Furious 50s among sailors. It's got super high winds, very dangerous, especially if you're going around the Cape Horn or around the Cape of Good Hope,
Yep.
around South Africa. Super dangerous. So during that trip, I never sailed before. And this was actually a recommendation from one of my readers as well. So this is additional proof of why you should um, get it out into the world of what you're doing. Because this sailor, longtime sailor, I think he was also in the military for quite some time. He said, "Hey, you should do this," and so I signed up for it. And flew down to the Falkland Islands, which is already a place most people have not been ever. Even Doug hasn't been there, so
I couldn't
that's
even point
proof
it out
of-
on a map if you
Yeah,
really
yeah.
tried.
Where is it? Just for most people who might not know.
Sure, it's east of the bottom of Chile,
Okay.
so pretty far out there and relatively close to Antarctica. It's close to another island that's famous called South Georgia, which is where Shackleton landed after his failed expedition to save his crew. Um, so when I got there, I got the Falkland Islands passport stamp, which is pretty awesome. But as soon as I stepped out of the plane onto the tarmac, by the way, you land on a military base, which is already really weird. And part of that's because there's high tensions between England and Argentina ever since the Falklands War in, I think, the 80s. They fought a huge war over these desolate islands for no reason,
Yeah.
except just to claim it as territory. And they still have those tensions today. But as soon as you step onto the tarmac, you're blasted with the high winds that are there. But I went over to the sailboat at the port, got on, and that's where it all started. Unfortunately, the first night we started sailing, that was the first time we started sailing. It was rough, man, really rough.
Was that day
We
one?
did-
Like you showed up, landed, and they're like, "All right, guys, we're going like sink or swim. We're going on the boat. We're gonna start doing these lessons while we're out there." Or was there some like prep classroom type before?
There was, I mean, we did have to wait, I think, 1 or 2 days just because the weather was too bad to leave. But no, that was day one of sailing. There was no practice, nothing.
Hell yeah.
That's cool.
And I was lucky because I had 5 other crew members, trained crew members, and I just said, "Hey guys, I'm here to learn as much as possible, so please teach me." And the only other 2 customers for that trip were 2 very nice old ladies, um, both of which had sailed a little bit in their lives. So I got all the attention I got from the experienced people to just say, "Hey, teach me as much as possible." Um, but that was rough. I got seasick for the first time in my life that night. Um, and it's the worst short-term illness you can have
Yeah.
by far, because especially at night, you're trying to focus on the horizon, but the whole boat is oscillating. And this was about a 72-foot boat. It had a couple sails in the front called a Genoa, jib, and staysail. Then it had the mainsail and the mizzen, so a pretty big boat.
Yeah, that's huge.
But even that was being tossed around by the waves. And at one point, I was like, oh, I'm gonna throw up. So I threw up, and then I passed out in the pilot house of this boat, and then stumbled down to my cabin and slept until 1 p.m. the next day. It was so bad,
And
so bad.
partially the mental game too, right? Because you're on the boat, you get sick, and you realize like I'm on it. Like there's no getting off and going back to land in a few hours. Like I got to get over this.
Yeah, exactly. I remember before I threw up, I felt terrible, terrible. And every sailor will tell you that like it's a joke, but they say if there was a gun around, I would shoot myself.
Yeah.
Um, but when I was sick, I was like, man, I'm stuck here for another 3 weeks. This sucks.
Wow.
But we ended up starting in Stanley, which is in the Eastern Islands, and then sailing around the northern half of the islands over to the west side, which is the most beautiful. It has a huge chain of smaller islands connected to it. So along the way, we were stopping from island to island to just explore, and it's nice to stop and anchor because um, it's nice just to feel the boat be still for a little bit and get on the ground. But during that, we stopped on many, many islands. And along the way, we also met a famous sailing family called the Ponce's. And the Ponce's are kind of famous because they had their son on a boat in the South Georgia island in the middle of winter. And their son was born on the table in the boat.
Wow.
I mean, that's how dedicated they are to sailing. And they have their own island out in the Falklands. So in between stopping from island to island, we were doing sailing maneuvers, practicing sailing maneuvers like tacking and jibing. And that's just tacking and jibing are two words to describe basically which direction the stern or the bow is turning into the wind while you're making a sailing maneuver. And during that, especially for a boat that size, you need a large crew. You really do.
Yeah.
For about a 72-foot boat with a mainsail, mizzen, and those three smaller sails up in the front. So that's where all the practice was done, was just from pure sailing. And by far one of the most badass moments in my mind was when somebody looked over at me, one of the crew looked over at me in kind of a rougher area between these islands when we were sailing and doing these maneuvers. And they said, "You want to be at the helm?" And I said, yeah, for sure. So I just remember I had the Last Mohican soundtrack playing in my head.
Hell yeah.
Being at the helm of this boat. But that was the majority of it. The last half of it, we made the crossing from the Falklands to Punta Arenas, Chile. And to do that, you have to go through the Strait of Magellan. And that was, everybody got seasick
I was
during
gonna say,
that. It
it's
was
famously like one of the most roughest seas in the entire world, isn't it?
Yeah, South Atlantic down there. I mean, as soon as you get into the Strait of Magellan, it changes a little bit. And this is actually where it changes from the Atlantic to the Pacific. And the reason it's named Pacific is because Magellan said it's much more pacified, and that's where the name Pacific comes from. He named it.
Cool.
So in that strait, it settles down a little bit. But it was a wild, wild trip, and it's a great way to learn the skill of sailing.
That's so cool, man. So now you did that. What does that mean? Do you have a certification? Could you go do something somewhere with it, or was it just for fun?
It was a competent crew course, and that's in the book. That's one of the cycles, is to undergo a competent crew course, which means that you can basically have the basic credentials to work on a sailing boat anywhere in the world. If you show up with this certification, you're going to be much more valuable than everybody else. And especially with sailing is a very interesting world. Especially as I found out after that trip, there's a lot of rich people in it who are willing to pay a lot of money to own sailboats. So if you can work on one of those, You are starting at the bottom just with the competent crew certification, but you're able, a new branch of opportunities is opened up to you because of that, especially with the experiences you get, the actual sailing experience,
Absolutely.
not just theory.
And you're stacking skills, right? You had your EMT before, and now you have your ability to work on ships. Those two still going hand in hand. A lot of people, there are ships out there that need medics and EMTs.
Yeah, they probably appreciated that you're an EMT, huh?
Right. And I tried to sign up for a sailing race not too long ago. It was way too expensive. I didn't even realize until afterwards. But they said, "Oh, you're an EMT. Okay, that's a whole lot better," and they were happy about it. So yeah, exactly. All these cycles build on top of one another.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I went from doing the EMT stuff to learning how to ranch here. I never really done much of the work on our ranch, so I learned how to ride horses and
Did you go branding?
prove my. Yep, branding,
Yeah.
treating and raising cows, uh, fixing and building fences, all that stuff. So I EMT to ranching to I always count the REMS course as another mini thing
Mm-hmm.
that I did. Then wildfires, and then let's see, sailing, flying. All these things go together and build on top of one another, and especially if you complete all 16 cycles back to back, you're going to be making lots of progress building that momentum.
And so far ahead of your peers too, because most people aren't putting that amount of time into those skills. And even with the pilot, right? You were an EMT who worked Wildland Fire, and then through that you get exposed like, oh shit, there's a whole aviation side to Wildland Fire, and it's cool to know that you can rack up hours out there because hey, who knows? Maybe in 20 years that's something you get to go do. If you've racked up enough hours, you're good on rotary and you can go do bucket drops. Like that's super cool.
Yeah, even the REMS course, man, I'm sure you've experienced in real life, like, oh, I know a knot for this, or I know how to manipulate friction or mechanical advantage or something. I mean, there's pulleys and all sorts of ropes on a sailboat, right? So,
Yeah, exactly. It was very helpful for that. Just knowing some of the basics, because especially with knots, they can be really confusing, make you feel like a retard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that little bit of experience was a big help.
And even ranchers are some of the most well-rounded, overall competent people you'll ever meet because they got to fix it themselves, or they, so all these things stack. Even when you're talking about pack muling, I could hear people already being like, the fuck is that for?
Yeah,
but I'm sure you learned something there that someday you're going to be like, oh, this translate, like efficiency of packing the load, or
even
again,
in your
ropes.
own adventures, right?
Yeah,
if you go somewhere, you don't have to pay for certain things. You can pack your own stuff in. You can go to the places that other people, tourists, won't ever go because they don't have that skill, which is required to go see that place.
Right. I mean, you could become a guide as well, and lots of guides use mules for packing stuff into the backcountry. I guess now they use goats as well, which is kind of funny. But
Yeah.
You got a few of those.
I do have a few goats.
right, you have some goats, Tyler.
Yeah, I need to start making them pack my shit for me.
Next REMS training.
Yeah.
Right. But that's one of the cycles in the preparation is we just call it cowboy.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're doing is going to the American Cowboy Academy in Texas, and I think they also have a location in Montana, and you're learning how to be a ranch hand. I mean, doing everything, roping, wrangling horses, riding horses, working with cattle. And then when you do that after about a week, you can go over to like an outfitter like Middle Fork Outfitters, and you can learn packing. And while you're learning packing, it is a dying skill, but I'm sure it's going to be useful again in the future, especially if things go downhill.
Yeah.
But along the way, you're also learning how to survive in the backcountry and learning how to be a really good guide. So there is actual potential financial benefits from learning these things. It's not just, here's a random thing, let me go do it. It's real stuff.
Yeah. Nice. Well, what's next for like on your preparation list? What are the next things you're looking at? How did you decide those were the things you wanted to do next?
The next thing I'm doing, which I'm doing right now, actually, I'm in the entrepreneurship cycle, which is one of the last cycles within the preparation. And what I'm going to be doing is a precision drone agriculture business. I'm going to have 2 drones. I have one of them now. I'm buying the other one pretty soon. One of them is a multispectral imaging drone, which you can fly over pastures and analyze it to analyze the quality of the pasture. And then the other drone can seed, spray fertilizer, or spray pesticides, insecticides, fungicides, all that stuff. So I'll be offering that as a service to other people and learning how to build a business over the next couple months. But the one I've lined up after this is the Muay Thai, the fighter cycle in Thailand, where I'll be going to train Muay Thai in Thailand for, I think I'll be there for about 2.5 months.
Let
That's
us
what
know
I've
the dates
lined up
on that
at the
one. We
moment.
might join you.
Yeah, we might have to come meet you. But that's so cool about entrepreneurship, man. I mean, I had the thought listening to the episode with your dad and Doug about, man, I would be so much more likely if a young person came to me and wanted an investment to start a business, say someone, you came to me, and then someone that's like, I'm from Harvard and I have my MBA. Like, dude, I'm so much more likely to go with you, Max, because you've done shit. You didn't just sit in a classroom. You're not, the Harvard MBA might just, they're good at school, and following rules. And yeah, someone like you who brings experience, to me, that's way more valuable than a piece of paper from a corrupted institution. So that's another benefit of it as well.
100%, because it's all just theory. Everything you're in school for is just theory until you put it into practice. I mean, even EMT school is really just theory for you personally until you put it into practice. I mean, my first patient ever, I it's like I forgot everything I learned, and now I had to start over from square one. So yeah, it's all just theory. Why waste 4 years on theory?
Yeah, that's every school. Even for those that are in the military, it was the same way, right? I remember going to MOS school, and you study all these things and you learn all these things, and then you get to the fleet and your NCOs are like, fucking nothing, stick to my hip, you're going to learn it. And you truly see that you didn't, and you get to grow into that position. So a lot of people maybe don't realize that they've experienced things that we're talking about. They just have to think of it in a different way and be like, okay, yeah, I can go and do this. I have kind of experienced some of those trials and tribulations, and I can go find these cool things to do.
Yeah, and Brennan and I were talking about this as well. Like, I think the preparation would be great for guys and gals getting out of the military, because yeah, you learn a lot and you are challenged and you travel and some of that, but in a lot of ways you're pretty sheltered, and like, your food's always taken care of. You don't even know how to make a dental appointment. All that shit is made for you. And not everyone is like this. Obviously, you got people like Brendan and I, but then I'm sure you and myself have friends that now they're out and you're like, dude, you never should have got out. Like, you need that structure and guidance. Like, they get out and they fall apart because they've never really had to take care of themselves. And it'd be cool if there was like a preparation for vets, because I'm sure a lot of them could be GI Bill funded. Sorry, another fire call.
Thanks for being patient. We got an ambulance call there. It gets a little crazy when we have to start the logistics, but thank God we have the Journeyman.
Yeah,
got a hold of someone.
Phone can ring whenever. We did push out a notification and had some people reaching back, so that's why it's there.
Yep.
Plugging our own thing, of course. That's why we're here, partly. But we were talking about people getting out of the military, and a lot. It's more common than not that people are lost when they get out. They don't know what to do. I think the preparation could be huge for that. Also, because you have a pool of money to go get educated,
especially after you get out.
Yeah, I know more and more of these like niche courses that Max is talking about are trying to become GI Bill funded. Like, I know I've seen I'm pretty sure it's a packing class that you can use your GI Bill for.
Yeah, my brother's going to a gun welding or gunsmithing course, using his GI Bill. Like, there's some cool shit out there you can use.
Yeah, definitely. So don't think you have to use it to go get a 4-year degree. Like, go do the preparation on the government's dime. What's cooler than that? Like,
for real.
Yeah.
Well, and that's something I've never heard before. We've never had it mentioned that like this is great for people coming out of the military.
Yeah, they don't have a
After we
clue.
published the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. After we published the book earlier this last month, 10 days after, all of a sudden we started getting lots of comments and reviews on Amazon of people 40, 50, 60, 70 years old saying, this is great for me.
Yeah.
So it's not just for people, young men who are deciding whether or not to go to college. It's for everyone. Obviously more geared towards men, so it's not really including women in that. And there is going to be a woman's book, a book for girls in the future.
That's cool.
But that's interesting. I never even thought about about the application for guys coming out of the military. That's good to hear,
dude. It's we joke about it all the time. It's you join at 17 or 18, 19, whatever, and you get out and you still feel like it's almost like life was put on hold, though it wasn't, right? Everyone else moved on, and you get out and you have your DD-214 in hand in this massive military file with your med records, and you're like, all right, what the fuck do I do now?
Yeah. Leads to a lot of mental health struggles.
It does.
People don't know what to do, you know?
And they lose not only that stability that you were talking about, Tyler, with being told what's next, where we're going, your dental's here, to no accountability. Like it's such a polarizing extreme after getting out that a lot of people fall into trouble, and this could be the perfect avenue for them to, like you said, use it on the government's dime.
Yeah. It was kind of, I don't know about hard for me, but you're so used to in the military. There's always something on the horizon that you're prepping for. Hey, we're going here, doing this, training. And like the preparation is that you're always, hey, we're doing this next. We're preparing for it. We know. And just like the fast paced lifestyle and
well, and you're going to get community out of it too, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure with the individuals that you've sailed with, when you go do the Muay Thai, there's going to be other people from different parts of the world going and doing that. You're getting to replace or build these new communities, which is important not only for growth, but your mental health as well. You have to have those communities. Yeah.
And I know we're trying to wrap up here soon-ish, but there's some other really cool cycles. You know, listening to the podcast your dad and Doug did, which we're going to link. I would recommend people listening to that. They're probably going to do it better justice than we are right now. But the heavy equipment operator, the cooking class in Italy, the investing, the hacker one.
Money. Yeah, I
want to hear more about that. To be honest,
I really felt close to the hacker. That one's super cool. When we started the Journeyman, we did it all in house. So I learned, sat down at the computer for 3 months, learned how to do no code, low code, built the first version of the Journeyman, like having no idea what a front end, back end, API, like all those things were. Again, shout out YouTube University. It's the best one out there. If you know how to ask the right question, it's the best university out there.
Yeah, Brennan's an actual Renaissance man, and he's probably just getting started. So, but yeah, the hacking one. Can you speak a little on that? It's not nefarious hacking.
No.
No. It's just figuring out how to do things, primarily using no code, and that could be building a website or building an app. And the point of all these cycles is that they tie in very well, and then sometimes very strangely together. I was saying this to a guy the other day, like he was asking me like what the hacker cycle would be good for, and I said, well, it would go well with the entrepreneurship cycle that I'm going to do, because then I can build my own website if I wanted to. I could build my own app. I can figure out how to do things using no code, and I don't have to spend months and months learning how to code. So that's the entire purpose of that. The cooking cycle is in Florence, Italy, and they have a few different options. You can go there for 1 month or 3 months, or even longer. I think they have a 5-month course.
Dang.
Wow.
While you're there, you're learning how to cook authentic Italian food. And by the way, Doug is a pretty good French cook, and he's used that skill before. It was valuable to him before. But you're training that. You're also learning some Italian along the way. You're taking Italian classes there at the school. All your academic courses are involved with the main anchor course. So art and history primarily is what you're studying. And you're just in a very interesting place. Most people don't go to Florence, Italy, and are immersed within the culture. And then the heavy equipment course, we have one in Florida. There's lots all over the country. And if you spend, I think that in total, the course is about 208 hours, which sounds like a lot, but it's really about half a cycle. If you spend half a cycle getting that done, you're learning how to operate the basics in terms of heavy equipment, and walking away being able to get a high-paying job because you have those valuable skills. And then the investor cycle, I didn't work on that cycle very much. I know nothing about investing. My dad worked on the entrepreneurship cycle, investor cycle, hacker, and the maker cycle, the last one. So he can say a lot more about that than I can. But all those things tie in together in direct or indirect ways. So yeah, those are some more of the cycles.
Hell
So
yeah.
cool, man.
Yeah, highly recommend people go out and get a copy of this book. There's two versions, right? One has the workflow worksheet in it. The other's just a normal kind of paper copy, right?
They all have the worksheet in
Okay.
it. I have this is the hardcover. This is the
Wow.
reviewer's copy right here. But
Nice.
they all have the cycles in the latter half of the book.
Okay.
And it is like a workbook, so you can check it all off in there, what you're doing. You can create your own cycle and fill it out within the book, and that's for hardcover and paperback. There's also a Kindle version, and you get a PDF that includes the workbook stuff as
Okay.
well.
Very cool.
Yeah, I love it, man.
There's one quote early on in the book, page 35, that I do quite enjoy from French thinker René Girard. If I pronounce that correct, sorry, French people, I'm not French, but
Sounded right.
man is the creature who does not know what to desire, and he turns to others in order to make up his mind. We desire what others desire because we imitate their desires. And that should resonate with a lot of people. It goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of the episode, being, you're the son of a blacksmith, so enjoy your life as a blacksmith. You need to go do these three options. You don't have to imitate. You can create. You can be your own creator, and do the things that you want to do. And there's a lot out there to do.
Yeah. Max, this has been awesome. You gave me goosebumps on my arms multiple times. It's just so cool. It's the coolest thing. I think you're going to help out so many young men out there, and with the new books someday for the young ladies. But I know you're quite a bit younger than me, but I do look up to you in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like it's cool, dude.
Where can people find your Substack if they want to follow along with your journey? You mentioned some of the places they can find the book, maybe even your dad's podcast. We'll be able to link it all, but yeah, where can they find it?
Yeah, so if you want to follow my Substack page where I post what I'm doing every week, then that would be at maximsmith.com, and that just goes to Substack. You can also follow along with my dad's YouTube channel, Doug Casey's Take, where, I mean, you heard me give a description of who Doug is in the beginning. He's a man worth listening to.
Very much so.
And then you can find the book. I highly recommend the hardcover because it's a lot prettier, especially if you're giving this to someone, a young man who you think has a little bit of potential. If he's holding a hardcover copy, I think it feels more valuable to him. But you can find it all at Amazon. So
Awesome.
yeah.
So cool, man. Yeah. Good job to you. Good job to your dad and Doug. Tell them hello. It's really cool, man. You're gonna change the lives of a lot of young people, I think, and
We're excited to have you back, and I think we're going to keep up this conversation and journey go on because it is important, and we appreciate your time and chatting with us. Anytime you want to come back and keep talking, you're more than welcome.
yeah, we need updates. So
Yeah, for sure, guys. And I really do appreciate you guys having me on. I think it's awesome that you're starting this, and it's great to see how far Minuteman and the Journeyman has gone. And I'm excited for it. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where it goes.
Thanks,
You
brother.
embody it, dude. If anyone's on the journey, man, it's you.
For sure.
So, dude,
Hell yeah.
yeah, excellent. Love talking to you. As always, reach out whenever. And then, guys, go find Max's Substack.
Yep. Buy the book.
I get a lot of them, or I subscribe to a lot of Substacks, but I can say Max's is the one that I actually read the most. So,
Yep. Cool, guys.
well done, everybody.
Great episode. Thank you. We'll see everyone later. And yeah, thanks.